Alright. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Haven't heard about this. I posted it on Twitter and Discord today. So that is indication if you don't follow me on Discord or Twitter, then you probably should. But let's just pause this for a moment. Let's skip this song so we don't need vocals while I'm doing this. Alright. This is an article that was posted regarding the recent leak of data from Capcom. I think it was late last week. Now, if you don't know anything about that, I don't believe there was anything that was really critical that was leaked from that in terms of user information. However, this is an article regarding more information from that. I'll read this out verbatim so far, and we can discuss it afterwards, right? So Capcom will be making a conscious effort to dial back sexualization of female characters, perhaps male as well, in Street Fighter 6. What's with all these fucking songs having vocals in them? I don't want vocals. Stop it. One time I don't want vocals. Anyway. According to leaked documents via recent era from the recent ransomware attack, Capcom wants sex appeal in games to be equal between all genders when going forward. If characters still have to be sexualized, there should be a good reason to do so in the context of storyline or overall narrative. Leaked documents see Capcom admitting its own past mistakes. I'm just going to turn the music off while we're doing this because every song has vocals on it apparently. Leaked documents see Capcom admitting its own past mistakes by citing the infamous butt slap of Armika during a critical arc in Street Fighter V. The said animation was later removed, but the developer did not want something uncomfortable in the game. Armika continues to be a highly sexualized character based on her design alone. If her revealing outfit can be attributed to her wrestling background, she still sandwiches her opponents between her butt cheeks that has little to do in her context. Laura, as another example, is a Brazilian jiu-jitsu master who fights with a revealing top that barely holds together. Cammy is a well-trained special forces fighter, but fights in awkward leotards that may as well be body paint. Capcom wants to improve gender representation, particularly for females in its games. While Street Fighter V does feature an incredibly diverse roster of characters, Capcom appears to be moving away from the overly sexualized characters just for the sake of it. Street Fighter 6 can hence be expected to have new character designs, at least for the female roster, which should be less revealing. Capcom then even admitted to giving female hunters in Monster Hunter World more revealing armor when compared to their male counterparts. Street Fighter 6 will probably clothe their female characters better. Street Fighter 6 was rumored to be releasing in 2021, but internal strives are apparently pushing the sequel back by another year. Many believe this to be why Capcom announced the new season pass of Street Fighter V, which adds Dan, Hibiki, Rose, Aura, Akira, and a mysterious fifth. Capcom needs to keep the fighting community busy while it continues to work on next generation sequels. So, that is the ish. Now, this is obviously not from a terribly reputable site. Segment Next, I'd never heard of this site before today. It's just a gaming news site by the look of it. You can look at the actual documents from recent era. I did, but basically just kind of regurgitates that for the most part. Minecraft Fighter 6. But there is reason to give this at least a little bit of weight, because normally rumors and hearsay just turn out to be exactly that. Event Hubs usually does a good job of covering fighting game news, but everything else is crap. I don't know if it's showing up on Event Hubs. I think I checked earlier today and it hasn't yet, so I don't know what's going on. But there is reason to give this some weight. And the reason for that is that Capcom have been censoring their own game for some time. Now, they did mention the Armika butt slap, which is still in the game, but they just changed the camera angle so you couldn't see her cheeks when she was slapping him. Another one thing that they censored was Cammy's critical art. In the beta version of the game, you could see her crotch when she started it up, whereas... no, it wasn't this critical art, it was her arrival, sorry, at the start of the round. You could see her crotch, but they changed the camera angle so you couldn't. And another one more recently is the Blair costume that just got released for Cammy. Has a needless amount of censorship in it. Let's see if we can bring that up real quick. Let's see Cammy Blair. So let's have a look at this. So if you get you can see it a little bit here. Let's see if we can find a better one of it. When you use the costume code to get the secondary version of it, which is Blair's original costume. Let's try costume code. It's not really giving up the goods. No, alright, well, so you can kind of see it here. That she's wearing Blair's costume now, but it's got leggings, where in Blair's original costume there is no leggings. There it's just a bodysuit, same as like the one that Cammy wears normally. I missed the bud. Someone did mod it back in. I think it's great, funny, hot Army CA. So this is one, another good example that is Jury's costume. Let's have a look at Jury story mode. See if we can find here. I guess I've prepared very well for this. No, they've edited it. In the original story mode for the game, when it was still just drawings. Basically, they had Jury's costume, but the black segment on this costume was actually skin tone. She wasn't wearing a bodysuit underneath the costume. She was just showing off a ton of cleavage. But even before they actually released the character, they edited that so that she was no longer showing cleavage, at least in as obvious a form. So, oh, here it is. There's the original artwork you can actually see there, where she's just showing off titties. And there's no bodysuit there. So they've been definitely toning down the sexualization of the characters in this game a lot. And so I'm inclined to give this some weight. I don't know if it's going to be true. I don't know if how far they're going to go with it. But pisses me off though. And the reason it pisses me off is because I don't think that... You didn't notice it anyway? I don't think sexualization in games or any kind of media is really a bad thing, because when you're talking about adults, you know, and this game is rated at least for children 13 years and up, so they're finding out about sexy things in life. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think, especially older than that, when we do talk about like later age teenagers and adults and whatnot, you know, we like, I've talked about something in one of the videos, we like sexy things. That's just hardwired into our brains, that we like sexy things, what things we find sexy, and they're fun. And if we're adults, can we not just agree that they are fun? Do we really have to let the social justice warriors of the world tell us that no, you're not allowed to see this thing which we perceive as being sexist because it's wrong, it denigrates women, it puts them in, I'm gonna get canceled on Twitter again, aren't I? It sexualizes women, it promotes toxic masculinity, all that kind of business. You know, because I got no problem with it being both ways. I got no problem with like Urian running around in a fucking thong. Yeah, exactly, bet Urian's still naked. I got no issue with that. I got no issue with Hot Ryu. Super, how's it gonna do? We're just talking about all that sexism stuff that you wanted to know about. I got no issue with any of these things. I think it's great. I think what's good for the goose is good for the gander. I think that's fine. I think it's so boring and so dull to be like, no, we can't have fun things. We can't have sexy things. Everyone should be wearing a potato sack. Everyone should have realistic body types. Everyone should promote that, you know, be like, so many things. It's wrong. I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole because people will get offended, even though I'm not trying to offend anyone. But you can kind of see where I'm going with this. You know, let's just be adults and just say, let's have fun things that are fun. People forgetting about Gil. Yeah, Gil's obviously walking around bare-ass fucking naked as well. It's really crazy. And yeah, and that's one of the things that Mortal Kombat 11 copped the most flack for, was its character designs. People hate the character designs in that game. You know, it's really hard to find a Mortal Kombat fan who can point to Mortal Kombat 11 and say, yes, I love the designs in this game. I think they're better than any game that's come before it. Really think you'll be, that's a long wait for a train that's not coming. Trying to find someone who'll say that. And that's not to say that Mortal Kombat 11 is a bad game. It's not to say it hasn't sold well. It has. But it's fucking boring. Why do people point at a fighting game and say, wow, that over-sexual and makes women look bad when the characters themselves are made to be so more empowering? That's really the question, and that goes back to the other argument, which is that when there's an argument on the internet that says, you know, men will say, oh, you know, you never complain about really buff guys, you only compare or complain about sexy ladies, and the response to that is typically, well, buff guys is a male power fantasy, so that's also catering to men. When I don't think that's the case at all. I've never looked at a buff guy and be like, holy shit, it's fucking amazing, I really want to be that guy. No, I don't. And maybe there's some people who do, but there's, that works both ways though. There's plenty of women who will look, and I know this because I have talked to girls in life, as shocking as it may seem. And, they will say 100%, it's like, oh, that chick's got an incredible body. I wish I had that body. I wish I looked like Lara Croft. I wish I looked like Cammy White. Any of these characters, Chun-Li, whatever, doesn't matter. Again, it works both ways, but people don't want to admit that. People just want to take things away from other people because they just are joyless assholes. You may take my freedom, but you will never take my lewds! It's a bunch of BS. Look at the over-sexualized women in music videos. There's a decent case to be made there, for sure. For sure. Absolutely. I'll agree with that. I think that's a valid point. It's probably one of the few times that Nabucco has ever talked to this channel and actually made sense. Why cater to a minority? Because it's a very vocal minority. That's the problem. They're the vocal minority that will scream about trying to get you cancelled on Twitter like they tried to do to me. Things like that. To be honest, I don't give a shit. I just want to pick up my controller and hand you guys L's in Street Fighter, and that's fine. You're allowed to not, be on this train. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just basically, I'm using the internet for what people use it for, which is just voicing opinions. Doesn't matter if they're good ones. I'm just voicing my opinion. Cancel culture is toxic? Absolutely, Dinosaur. 100% true. The minority is a problem with cancel culture. It spreads bad word too much, unfortunately. Very true. It's mostly about choice, but I get your point. So that's kind of where I'm coming from, is that I think it's just ridiculous. Long story short, is that obviously on my channel, we use a lot of sexy mods. I think it's great. People come to my channel because I think it's great. It's the silent majority, if you will, if you want to use that term, which has been overused a bit too much lately. But I think that it is just, it's just disappointing more than anything else that you do have this very, very vocal minority which will say very hateful things in an effort to get what they want. And they don't care if women aren't offended by this, but because they will be offended on their behalf, which is very dangerous in my opinion. So that's all, I guess. Is it fair to say we got it worse when Tumblr kids moved to Twitter? Absolutely. All the Tumblr rejects that went to Twitter has just made it an absolutely toxic cesspool. Way more than it was before. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was never good. Twitter was never a good place to be, but Tumblr made it so much worse. It's also for cat videos, Lensman. You forgot about cat videos. She'll better look the same in the next game. Well, they're probably not. She probably won't. She'll probably be quite toned down in terms of proportions. They'll probably get rid of those amazing legs and thighs that everyone sees as a defining trait. So yeah, that's all. That's kind of. I'm done venting my spleen. Not the thighs. Thick thighs save lives. Kirsten Ferris, how's it going, dude? We're just discussing the recent censorship of Street Fighter 6, or the alleged recent censorship of Street Fighter 6. I know the feeling well because people try to tell me I should be offended by something as a black guy, and that it just doesn't. Being told how to feel pisses me off no end. Yeah, and I appreciate that you are prepared to have your own opinion on things. That's really good. That you're prepared to not go along with that kind of thing and form your own opinions, I think is a very valuable asset for anyone to have. So only the games with sexy characters will be Tekken and anime fighters. Well, I mean, going off on a slight tangent, you know they just cancelled hentai in Australia. Like, hentai in Australia is now actually illegal, in case you didn't know that. That is not a joke. Hentai is illegal. They cited that it was a danger to minors. and obviously sexualizing minors, that you cannot now possess hentai or purchase it in Australia, basically. So I'm going to jail.